The AEW Real World Champion CM Punk has bashed Hangman Adam Page after AEW Collision last night went off the air. Details on what he said, as well as the fallout after CM FTR was defeated by the House of Black on Collision thanks to an interference from Samoa Joe. Ricky Starks is suspended for 30 days by AEW after he attacked Ricky the Dragon Steamboat last week, but he's going to apply for a managerial license, potentially continuing his feud with CM Punk. The Young Bucks are going to be facing off against the Guns as the storyline between the Elite and Bullet Club Gold picks up, possibly with a match coming at AEW All In. Tetsuya Naito has won the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax tournament. Christian Cage will be facing Darby Allin next week on AEW Collision. Jim Ross opens up about the backstage atmosphere at AEW Collision in comparison to AEW Dynamite. Plus, QT Marshall wins gold in Mexico for AAA. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off talking about CM Punk bashing Hangman Adam Page. But first, we've got to let you know how we got to this point. Now, last night on AEW Collision, we got a big main event for the AEW World Trios Championships. And the House of Black, that being Brody King, Malachi Black, and Buddy Matthews, has once again successfully defended the AEW World Trios Tag Team Championships. This time, it was against the current AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR and the real AEW World Champion CM Punk. In the main event of the August 12 episode of Collision, it was King who got the win for his teammates after hitting a spinning lariat to Wheeler. During the match, there was some outside interference. Punk was struggling to get back into the ring before he was attacked by Samoa Joe. Joe had Punk in a submission hold until the end of the match. Now, it's worth noting that Joe attacking Punk was not to help King, Black, and Matthews to win, but because Joe wants a match with Punk at the All In pay-per-view in London, England at Wembley Stadium. It was his way to get Punk to, quote, listen. Earlier in the show, Joe had called out Punk and said that he was a coward for not answering the challenge that he had issued a week before on Collision. King, Black, and Matthews have been the AEW Trios champions since defeating then champions the Elite on March 5th at the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. Before Saturday night's match, the House of Black had last defended their titles on the August 5th episode of Collision, where they defeated Action Andretti, Darius Martin, and Lee Johnson. It wasn't their first defense on the newest AEW Weekly show either. Before that, the three found themselves successfully defending against Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Billy Gunn on the July 22nd episode as well. But really what's got a lot of people talking this morning, and certainly last night as well, was what CM Punk said once the cameras stopped rolling and once AEW Collision was off the air. With Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks all recently signing new AEW contracts, fans' hopes of a potential future on-screen program between the Elite and CM Punk were renewed. This was given a further boost of optimism when Punk's close friends Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler laid out a challenge to the Bucks for an AEW World Tag Team title match at All In on August 27. But CM Punk has now once again fired shots at Hangman Page following the August 12 episode of Collision. Captured and uploaded to Twitter by several fans in attendance, Punk stood in the ring alongside FTR following their unsuccessful attempt to capture the AEW World Trios Championships from the House of Black, and he said these words about Hangman Page. Take a look.
Yes. Carolina's Hangman Puncher.
No! 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 Hell no!
Earlier today, I went to a local supermarket and I figured out why they call him Hangman. It's because the pegs in the toy aisle are full of Hangman action figures because nobody wants to buy them. He's a peg warmer, unlike me, who moves merchandise,
Yes!
pops ratings,
Yes!
and sells toys.
The GOAT!
I got everybody in AEW saying, I'm the heart, I'm the soul, I'm the spirit. Well, that's objective. What is a fact is the people who say that certainly aren't the chin of AEW, because the lights go out faster than what? GTS, go to sleep. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I got rock too. I told the House of Black no chops, and the chop makes them very mad. So I think this is what we call a heel turn. I'm not sure.
He's the GOAT!
Sir, what are you so mad about? What are you so mad about?
Now, of course, again, when it comes to all of this, Hangman Adam Page was notably a target of Punk following his infamous verbal tirade at the All Out 2022 press conference. However, Page was not involved in the reported locker room altercation that took place afterwards. Discussing the possibility of a trios match with CM Punk against the Elite, FTR recently stated they're hopeful that Streambelt still could happen one day. Whether or not it could happen, though, remains to be seen. What were your thoughts on Punk's comments? Was he out of line? Was he right for what he said? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And does this just stir up more controversy that's ongoing in AEW right now? Ricky Starks has been suspended by AEW following his actions last week on AEW Collision. To open last night's edition of Collision, an announcement regarding Ricky Stark being suspended from wrestling for 30 days. In the opening segment of the night, Tony Schiavone was in the ring and was joined by Ricky Starks before the crowd was informed that Starks had consequences from his actions of last week. After Starks attacked professional wrestling legend Ricky the Dragon Steamboat after his match against CM Punk on last week's show, an announcement regarding his punishment for such a bold action. Schiavone reported that Starks would be suspended from in-ring competition for 30 days. However, in the segment, Starks revealed that he had been issued a manager's license, so we will continue to see him every single week on Collision. Given the length of the suspension, the timing will mean that Starks won't wrestle at either AEW All In on August 27 and or AEW All Out on September 3rd, 2023. What are your thoughts on the storyline? Where do you think this one's going? Given that he's going to be a manager, who is he going to be managing and what's his next feud going to be? Let me know your thoughts about that. Now, of course, this week it's AEW Fight for the Fallen across every program, that being Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. We've got a match for Dynamite on Wednesday. Earlier on in the evening on Collision, the Guns, accompanied by fellow Bullet Club Gold members Jay White and Juice Robinson, issued a challenge to the Young Bucks. After Jay White said the Young Bucks don't deserve the title of being the best brother tag team ever, Austin and Colton Gunn addressed the Young Bucks. The Gunn brothers first said they weren't simply Collision Cowboys. They then went on to say they'd be at AEW Dynamite this Wednesday to show the Young Bucks why they are the best brother tag team in All Elite Wrestling. The match has been officially announced and will be taking place this Wednesday, August 16 in Nashville, Tennessee. The match will mark the first time the Gunn Club and the Young Bucks compete against each other in a traditional tag team match. The two sets of brothers have previously only ever shared the same ring in a couple of battle royals that took place on AEW Dynamite in February and March of 2022. Of course, this is, some people think, the beginning of a match that's going to be happening at AEW All In. It had been rumored we would be getting the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega facing off against Bullet Club Gold and Konosuke Takeshita at London's Wembley Stadium, and it would appear this is the beginning of that. Now let's talk a little bit about New Japan Pro Wrestling, because Tetsuya Naito has won the G1 Climax tournament. Tetsuya Naito has outlasted the entire field. Naito won the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 33 tournament, besting Kazuchika Okada in the finals on August 13. Naito finished off Okada with Destino. As a result of the victory, Naito now holds the G1 briefcase, which gives him a shot at the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at Wrestle Kingdom 18 on January 4, 2024. The title is currently held by Sanada. Naito won D Block in the round robin action with a 5-2 record. His losses were to Shane Haste and Jeff Cobb. He defeated Hikuleo in the quarterfinals and Will Ospreay in the semifinals before besting Okada in the finals. This marks the third time Naito has won the G1 Climax tournament and the first time in 6 years. Okada had won the past 2 G1 Climax tournaments, so congratulations to Tetsuya Naito. His match against Will Ospreay and the match against Okada were frankly phenomenal. What are your thoughts on this? And does this mean that Naito is going to once again become the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion? Now, steering back to AEW, a match has been announced for Collision next week involving Christian Cage. AEW Collision was in Greensboro, North Carolina at the Greensboro Coliseum complex last night, and Christian Cage decided it was the right place to declare that he was better than Ric Flair. Of course, Greensboro, North Carolina and the Greensboro Coliseum complex was one of the major stops in the Mid-Atlantic territory and the site of many of Ric Flair's biggest matches. Not surprisingly, the comments brought out Flair's former Four Horsemen teammate Arn Anderson, along with his son Brock. Arn referred to Greensboro as hallowed ground in professional wrestling and went on to call it Horseman Country. The end result was the TNT Championship match, with Luchasaurus successfully defending the title in a competitive match against Brock Anderson. However, the action didn't end there. Darby Allin quickly ran to ringside and made a challenge to Christian Cage for next week's AEW Collision. Cage promptly responded, "You're on!" The match has been officially scheduled for next week's AEW Collision Fight for the Fallen television special from Lexington, Kentucky. The match will put Allin and Cage on the opposite sides for only the second time. Their first bout against each other was a tag team match, also featuring CM Punk and Ricky Starks on the July 22nd episode of Collision, so this will be a first-time one-on-one meeting between the pair. Now, what's the backstage atmosphere at Collision like in comparison to AEW Dynamite? Well, Jim Ross has opened up on this. Of course, Collision has now been on the air for 2 months, and the show has been a breath of fresh air for AEW fans and those on the roster too. Along with feeling different from Dynamite, it has allowed more names to shine on the show, such as Ricky Starks, who main evented last week's episode of the show against CM Punk for the real AEW World Championship. The match saw AEW announcer and WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross return to commentary on the show for the first time since the debut episode of Collision due to health reasons. Now, JR spoke about the differences backstage between the two shows on his Grilling JR podcast, where he said the atmosphere is a lot calmer than that of Dynamite. He said, quote, "The atmosphere at Collision, in my opinion, is entirely different than the mindset and the atmosphere at Dynamite. There's less people, less crew, less talent, so it's a lot calmer. I think the talents have more time to work their matches out. It's just a different atmosphere, and it's a good atmosphere, always fun. Good seeing the talent. We got a good crew going. I think Punk and Tony Khan pretty much put that roster together, and I like it. That's good talents. They're motivated, they like the ownership of that show, and the fact they can make a difference, and I think that's cool. All good, man. I'm looking to it. I enjoy being around the talent." So Jim Ross saying that the atmosphere is much different and much calmer in comparison to that of Dynamite. Does that reflect on the programming? Let me know your thoughts about that. Finally, QT Marshall, he's won gold, just not in the United States. A new AAA Latin American champion has been crowned. AAA hosted a fatal four-way to crown a new AAA Latin American champion last night. The match was set due to Rey Fenix announcing that he would take a hiatus from competing in AAA, leading to then champion vacating the bout. The four-way was originally set to be pitting Pentagon Jr. against Dralistico, QT Marshall and Brian Cage. However, Cage was replaced by Texarkana Jr. during the broadcast due to Cage getting injured during his match against Darby Allin on the August 11, 2023 edition of Rampage. In the end, the match ended when Pentagon Jr. hit a package piledriver on Dralistico on a board, but QT Marshall caught Pentagon Jr. with a low blow before taking Pentagon's mask and locking in a schoolboy roll-up on Pentagon Jr. for the pinfall win, becoming the 12th ever champion. This is Marshall's first championship since 2017 when he held the MFPW Heavyweight Championship. This is also his first ever title in AAA in his second ever match. Do you think that QT Marshall is proving he can be a title holding heel? Is this maybe an indication of what he could do maybe in the future for AEW? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. But there you go, guys. It's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.